Welcome back to our DIY cheap greenhouse. We spent about $1,500 and a whole bunch of recycled wood and pieces and parts to get this whole greenhouse together. It's a nice, really loud, windy day, so hopefully everybody can hear me well with the microphone. We're sitting with a windy, damp, 23-degree Fahrenheit day. I'll put Celsius down below, but I wanted to come update everybody and just share this. And if you're new to the channel, this will help understand every moving piece and all the stuff we've got going on as we move forward into spring. So if that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing. We're going to cover all of our heating methods and everything we've got going on and just update everybody. So I just successfully overflowed the tank down on the other side of the greenhouse for aquaponics and stuff. We'll go down there and check that out. The end piece fell off of our compost heated water, so we're way overflowing this, but the temperatures outside aren't too bad. No negative temps. We got our compost heating water, air lines, compost heated air, and we've got a chipmunk hole. So we had a chipmunk digging down. We sent our dog out here, and our dog was rooting around outside here. So our dog was trying to pinch and push this down and dig this out. So we definitely have a chipmunk coming and going from outside the greenhouse. We've had multiple rodents, chipmunks, rats, mice, all types of stuff living out in the country. We've got some woods around us. We've got cornfields. And so dealing with those pests is necessary and important because they can do some damage. I will show some damage that we've got from that chipmunk. So we've got ourselves a dying fire here, but I want to check out the cold air intake. So I added some more wood chips to the fire to give it a better draw here. I just want to show our cold air intake. We will open up the damper a bit, and we've got incense. So I just wanted to show a decent visual of the combustion cycle, fresh air from outside going in and putting heat into the greenhouse. We've got an entire playlist dedicated to our compost heating system, the solar systems, and how we're running free energy for free heat. We've got an entire playlist for our wood stove and all of the heating experiments like heating up water. There's an absolute ton of ways to reuse those free resources like wood chips and things like that. Definitely using it for BTUs on the wood stove and in the compost heater. We've got our incense, just making it smell like lavender in here. Got our geothermal cranking. So this little solar system running the geothermal runs a fan behind the bricks here. Our compost heating fan, that one, and this one are all running off of that one solar powered system. So we're able to jump over from those three fans and turn this on, and this is our water heater. I can hear it cranking there. It takes a little while to run it through. Fire's been on for a couple hours, so I could switch over from geothermal and all the little fans and push water right to this 55-gallon drum to put some good thermal mass in here. Coming down, we've got our exit on our geothermal right here. Hold this microphone right up to it. So what you can probably hear running is this little fan. You can see some of the flooded out water here. This fan that's mounted to a log here, we'll go ahead and turn that off right now. It's quite loud. So been doing a lot of work in the greenhouse and just using passive solar heating, active systems. We've had lots and lots of experiments throughout all parts of the greenhouse, but using all of those free sources, we were able to heat this $1,500 greenhouse for free for the last 5-6 years. So using a double layer DIY style greenhouse, we were able to achieve year-round growing. And whenever I see Edible Acres over there starting a bare root sale, I know it's time to get in gear. He's over in zone 7. We're here in 5A, 4B, right on the line here. So we have some pretty cold, harsh winters to deal with a poly greenhouse. Of course, I would love to have a sweet passive solar $50,000 plus greenhouse, but that's just not in the budget for us. I'm trying to raise a family on a homestead. We're just trying to survive the best we can, as healthy as we can. This is probably the first video you've seen me in blue jeans. I wasn't supposed to be wearing these out here. My wife is going to be pissed at me, so hopefully she doesn't watch this video. We're just sharing all of the things that we've achieved over the years. Slowly but surely, we've built ourselves a very sustainable greenhouse. I mean, we're going to have to replace these polys eventually, and at $300 almost a piece, these polys are not cheap, so we have to do it right the first time. And I may do some structural changes to the greenhouse itself. We're going to be building more greenhouses. As the temperatures are warming a bit, we are getting a lot of work done here. So starting down here, we've got some heating experiments. I've got more heating experiments to bring in that we've been working on in the garage here. We've got our aquaponics. We've got some little goldfish down in the bottom there. Transplanted some yarrow, and this little fan blowing out has really helped the plants cut down on any fungal or mold that we see from dead leaves and stuff. So having good ventilation and good aeration is key. And we put that up when we noticed that we were starting to flower on some of our crops here. This is a tatsoi, pak choi tatsoi, starting to flower already because they've been here the entire winter and just survived. We've got a forest in the greenhouse here, all of the weeds coming up along the bricks here, just soaking up any extra moisture. So we're going to go ahead and run down here and flood out this perennial bed real quick. So what I do is set up some bricks and some rocks and try and keep all of the soil from eroding. We've already got a set path where all of the water will take, and I watered this in, but it can take a lot of water into this bed here. So really the only issues we ran into with growing throughout the winter and using the cheapest sources possible and the cheapest methods possible, we found that dealing with rodents is a main factor. Got to either put mesh around the entire outside of the greenhouse or just have traps set up, taking preventative measures, using whatever resources you possibly can to keep the pests outside of the greenhouse and from harming your crops. Rodents are probably number one on my list for the biggest nuisance to trying to grow throughout the winter time. And next is moisture. Moisture and nutrients that go hand in hand, because you wash your nutrients away with excess moisture. You don't want too much moisture because you'll have freeze ups, and excess moisture leads to other problems with stagnation between too many plants. We like to plant heavily to have a nice dense area where we don't see any dieback if it does get cold, the doors open or windows open, our heaters aren't working. So we've got all these steps in place to prevent the cold, but the moisture is a main factor. Trying to get water into here in the middle of winter, we're using snow, ice, and melting, and using pond water, anything we can. And we've been using compost tea here recently now that we've got our hose out, because it's not so darn cold out. Those negative temperatures have broke. Those below zero temperatures have broke, but we're still below freezing most days. So still having to heat this greenhouse and keep everything protected. You can see we've got all of our lights, but we took all our tunnels down. All of these crops are doing very well. The sun is getting warmer. We're going to have to put our shade cloth on before too long here because of the excess heat that is created from just simply having the sun. Everything we do in this greenhouse is preparing for a cold, cloudy day just like today, basically all winter long. So very minimal draw solar systems that can run off one panel or two panel each to be able to achieve heating, and using every free resource possible to get heat into the greenhouse. So as we're still heating, we're having to cool at the same time by using our windows to vent those hot temperatures. You'll notice that I did have some poly down here. I want to talk about that separately. We're making a seed starting like little propagation area, kind of a moisture filled tent that is good for starting seeds. And I've got a couple DIY solar heaters we're going to test out. All of these crops are just looking awesome in here. We've been harvesting a ton of free food out of here. Now this little shelter we've created with just two of little hoops here, we can close it off and pinch it on this end. So this end is sealed up and it comes down to the ground and then basically comes up all the way over our little aquaponics bin here. So once all of this is pulled over, it's a nice enclosed area. So right in this area, I'll either make a shelf system or we'll use the top of our water tank because that's great thermal mass. We'll be stealing the solar power from that fan right there that was running and running the solar power to a heater as we enclose that whole little greenhouse inside the greenhouse to keep a nice little rooting and sprouting area. And you'll see we've got a bunch of market crops coming up here. Just been potting up tons and tons of things. We've got our small greenhouse full and the big one's starting to get there. All these red vein sorrel here, these were all divisions off of one main plant. So basically that was the biggest piece and then all little divisions. So they don't look the best right now, but in a week or two, we will check on them. We've got lots of different kinds of strawberries. So this is just our first and second table. We'll be continually putting more tables and sprouting and experimenting with transplanting and sprouting inside the greenhouse in colder temps still. So we've made it through many years of free heating in this super cheap greenhouse for what we've got, for the space that we've created. All of that water has already soaked in. This greenhouse was super dry. Lots and lots of life popping up, little sprouts all over. We've sown tons and tons of seeds in here. So as you'll see, walking up on the pond, the waterfall is not running. I just shut that off. We're going to be taking and leveling out and trying to remove as many of these sandbags as possible because they are not holding up to the job. They're just tearing up, breaking apart, and leaving pieces all over. So we want to get those out of here, and we want to make a larger pond. My son wants to get some bullhead or catfish, so we can basically excavate this pond out a little bit bigger on each side here. We can take a lot more room and make a lot more mass. So we can hopefully grow ourselves some fish to hold us over and we can eat throughout the winter. I hope everybody found this video halfway useful. I was trying to come out and update everybody, make everybody who isn't subscribed aware of what we're achieving in here and what we've been achieving and what we're going to continue to achieve and bring to you guys. So we've got plenty of experiments. We kind of put experiments on the back burner down to the other side of the greenhouse by the stove there, and kind of waiting on them as we're having to get ready for spring early. So creating the room for plants, getting all of our starts and an area for starts ready, and using free energy to do so we don't have any incurred costs on the heating side or air moving side, anything we're doing with our solar power. Being able to achieve everything that we're achieving is very, very cool, and I'm glad everybody else finds it interesting what we've got going on in our greenhouse. So if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video.